Here's my story. Be 16. Be black and have a family down in Alabama. They farm and own a huge amount of land in Huntsville. Uncle owns a big house and a bunch of trailers they put out in the woods for hunting or camping. Down south, cousins suggest that we go out there to camp. I know I'm a city kid from Chicago, so they tease the fuck out of me. Collect food, kill a pig and some chickens, and bring necessities to camp out for a few days. We get to the camp and it's obvious something is weird. Air has this thick electric smell like right before a storm, like ozone. We think nothing of it and unpack and go down to the little creek to swim for a few hours. All of a sudden, some older white dude and a white teenager come out of the bushes. He has a shotgun in the crook of his arm and says hello and asks us what we're doing this far back into the woods. I tell him about my uncle, who he knows, and say that we're camping out. He tells us we need to be real careful out here and stick together. There was a big animal in the woods. His son, who is my age, asks if he can stay and hang out with us. He says okay. I'm gonna stop green texting because the story is fairly long and the format is harder to write in. So, we end up playing football. Dicking around with me. There's the white kid, Tanner, 5 of my cousins, and then 4 of their friends. In total, there were 5 girls and 6 boys, and we were all around 15 to 17. We ended up just dicking the day away. So, we head back to camp and pulling out some of our stuff for the campfire, even though the trailers both had kitchenettes. Tanner said that his family's property sits up against my uncle's. He wants to run home and ask his dad if he can come out camping with us. My cousin Rooster says he's going to go with him since it's going to get dark soon. One of the girls also wants to tag along. It's about 7 o'clock, and it is starting to get pretty dark. They take flashlights and take the trail towards Tan's property. The rest of us chill. We make s'mores, drinks, and kiss on the girls. About 30 or 40 minutes later, there's a smell of ozone again. You can smell it over the smell of the fire we had started. This really nasty copper smell, like right after you've had a nosebleed and it stopped. It wasn't exactly like dried blood, but it was that nasty metallic, back of your throat smell. We immediately think that it's some kind of electrical malfunction or someone left a hot plate on or some shit. We search the trailers and nothing's on. And we can all smell it. All of a sudden, we can hear people booking it down the path towards us. And Rooster, Tan, and the girl all came running into the clearing out of breath. They didn't even break stride. They all ran into the trailer, right by where the fire is. We all got the fuck out of there and into the trailers. They ended up calming down. Even Rooster was crying his fucking eyes out at this point. All the while, the fire is getting lower and lower, and so my other cousins say fuck it and are about to go outside to get the generator out of the shed between the trailers. Tanner goes, "Fuck no! Lock the door, ain't nobody going outside." He's been crying too, so his eyes are bloodshot and puffy and his pants are dirty as shit. He goes on to tell us that they went back up to his house. His father said, sure, he can go out camping, but to make sure that they are careful on the way back. And that maybe they should take one of the hunting rifles, just in case. Evidently, Tanner had seen something in their yard a few days before. One of their pigs had come up, ripped up and half-eaten. They assumed it was just some big cats or coyotes, even though they don't usually fuck with live animals. They had gone upstairs and packed his stuff, and told the dad that they would be okay without the rifle because coyotes avoid people. So they started walking towards where we were camping. Rooster finally stops crying and shaking. The girl already had, but she was just staring out the window with a dumb look on her face. He said they had gotten halfway into the woods towards the camp when they started to hear shit in the forest. It was almost pitch black by this time, so they weren't sure at first what the heck it was. The girl says that she heard something in the bushes right off the trail, and they all beamed their flashlights over there. And there was someone standing back in the woods in a little hollow. Rooster said they shouted at him and told him that he was scaring the heck out of them and what a jerk he was. He says that's when he realized that the guy was facing away from them. So they kept walking. And they start smelling that nasty coppery ozone smell. They say that they look off into the forest on the opposite side, and it's a dude standing in the forest, backward slightly, closer to the path. Now they start power walking, and Tan keeps going on. I should have taken the fucking rifle. As they're telling the story, the smell is super strong. Even inside the cabin. When they say that after they started walking faster, a kind of low gibbering and started coming from both sides of the woods. And as they started booking it back to the trailer, the girl said she had flashed her flashlight out in the woods on the side of them and had seen something jerking itself through the woods. The gibbering just got louder and louder, and they could see the light from our campfire. Something had come out of the woods about 40 yards behind them onto the track. And they had just flat out ran as hard as they could back to the trailer. So we're out here in the freaking woods, and we're assuming at this point it's some rednecks or some shit trying to fuck with us. All of a sudden, my other cousin, Junior, starts going on about how he went to school with a native kid that was telling him about the Goatman or something. We probably tell him to shut up, because we don't need any spooky talk right now. But he just keeps going on and on about how it's the Goatman, and how we're in the woods and blah blah blah. Now, at the time, I had never heard of this Goatman or any of that. But then a couple years ago, the year before I graduated from college, I had met him for a roommate and ended up asking him about it. And to sum it up, it's basically a guy with the head of a goat, and he can shapeshift. And he gets among groups of people to terrorize them. It's also supposed to kind of be like a Wendigo, and it's just bad mojo to even talk about it. And even worse if you see it. Keep in mind, I didn't know this back when I was 16, so my cousin is going. The Goatman. He's gonna get in and he's gonna get us. The girls are all terrified, and my cousins and I are just trying to figure out if it's just some hillbillies or if it is some sort of animal. All of a sudden, the smell just goes away. Like, to this day, I haven't even experienced anything like it. Like, usually smells just fade away or lessen. It just literally was there one second and not the next. So, after about an hour, making it around 9 or 10, we've calmed down enough to go back outside and stoke the fire again. We figured it was just some jerk-offs trying to mess with us, so we didn't go home. Because we think if we do, they'll just chase us through the woods or something like that. Nothing else weird happened that night. And we stay another night. And for the main part of the night, nothing happens. At about 1 in the morning, we're outside getting drunk and telling ghost stories. As someone is finishing some spooky story, I don't remember what it was about, the smell comes back. And it is so strong that one of the girls literally just starts vomiting. I stand up, and you can actually feel how clammy the air was. I say we should get inside and that this isn't right. We should have just freaking left. We all go back inside, and we're standing around. My cousin just keeps going on and on about how it's this Goatman, and my cousin Rooster tries to shut him up. And all the while, I'm just feeling that something is wrong. I can't figure out what it is. We end up sitting in there for a while. The smell is just as strong, and we're terrified and all huddled in this camper. We ended up cooking brats for everyone because nobody wanted to go outside. It's one of those packs of 4, and we have a total of 3. So I grill them up on the stove and give everyone a hot dog. I get mine. After a while, one of my cousins gets up and goes over to the pot to get another. He starts grumbling about how I get 2 brats and everyone else only gets 1. And I look at him like he's stupid. I tell him that everyone got 1 because there's only 12. If he wants more, he should open a new pack and cook some more. That's when the girl that had been out with Rooster and Tan just started screaming, "Oh, Jesus, oh Lord, get it out!" She's crying and shivering, and it dawns on the cousin standing up. What's wrong? Me and him both glance around the room. And then my heart just sinks. I ran out of that cabin, and the girl runs out with us. The trailer door is banging against the side of the trailer as everyone books it out of the cabin. One of my cousin's friends asked us what the heck is wrong. I start counting us. There's only 11 now. I shit you not. My cousin verified. There had been 12 people in that cabin, but being that everyone didn't know each other that well, no one had really noticed the whole time. And that there's an extra person. And then I realized earlier that I kind of noticed something was off. You know when you're just messing around having a good time and you don't sweat the smallest thing? You don't always keep track of certain stuff. I'm dead sure that someone else had been in that trailer with us. And that they had been there for at least a day eating with us. What makes it worse? I could figure out which one because I don't think anyone ever actually interacted with this other person. The girl kept praying and we're all just sitting outside. Eventually we all get some big ass sticks and go into the cabin and no one's there. We count again and there's 11 people. We go back into the trailer and lock the door. We explain what happened and the girl says that she realized too. And that when he was about to say something, the person sitting next to her had grabbed her leg hard and leaned over toward her and said something that she couldn't understand. So we're all pretty much scared as hell as we huddled together and I fell asleep. When I woke up, the sun was just coming up. Half of the people were asleep and the other half were packing up our shit. We all want to walk back home. But like 4 people want to stay until the sun is all the way up. And some people think we're just messing around and still want to play in the trailers. I just want to get the heck out of these woods. The girl's name was Karina. The one that the Goatman had touched. Anyway, I asked her if she really thinks it was something bad. And she just says that she wants to go home and she doesn't want to be out in the woods alone for another night. So we decided to split up. The 4 that wanted to go can go, but I have to stay because I have the keys to the cabin and it's my uncle's and I have to lock it up. I'm super mad at this point because I feel like people aren't taking this seriously. And I definitely didn't want to be out in the woods for another night. I spent the rest of the day trying to convince the rest of the people, now 4 girls and 4 guys, to get the heck out of Dodge. Tanner leaves with them to go get the rifle and says he's going to be back. So there's just 7 of us left by 4 p.m. At around 5 p.m., he hasn't made it back yet. And we're getting extremely antsy. And the only reason I stopped begging them to go back was because he went to get a gun. It's about 5:30 p.m. or so, when one of the cousins says that the girl Karina is outside. We all look outside, and sure enough, she's standing by the fire pit, with her back to the cabin. I'm thinking to myself, if she's so damn scared, why the hell would she come back? And then I get this nasty feeling in my gut. Keep in mind, the whole time the coppery smell has been gone. Now I realize I can smell just a twinge of it. I say this to the rest of them and everybody. And these are the people that wanted to stay in the woods after we had that Goatman in our midst, is laughing at me and asking if I set this up to scare them. I look at them like I'm not bullshitting you right now. I ask them why the heck I would play like that. So one of the girls goes outside to get Karina. She gets halfway towards her and then stops cold. Karina starts heaving. I don't know how the heck to describe it. Sort of like someone with their back turned was laughing without actually making any sound. It was this fact that made me realize that there was not a sound in the whole woods. It was dead silent. This was like later in September, so it was still fairly hot at the time. But it was super chilly some days too. And you can usually hear those big geese honking or some kind of birds or squirrels chit-chatting. I step out of the door to tell her to come back into the trailer right now. She backs up into the trailer and we lock the door. We pull down all the shades except one and put a guy there in a chair to watch her. She stands there for another 20 minutes or so. The guy turns around to say that she's still there. Then there's a huge bang on this door. We all jump up and scramble into the living area of the trailer. The banging is super loud. So now my cousin is holding one of the girls and the other two are just kind of giggling with nervous laughter, and me and the other guys were just freaking out. Then we hear Tan. He's screaming, "Let me the fuck in! Stop fucking playing!" So we go over to the door and open it. He stumbles in with a rifle. There's nobody else outside. Evidently, he had walked up to the campsite. Nothing weird happened in the forest, but he had seen a girl. Mind you, he said it was not Karina standing there. When he had gotten to the edge of the clearing, she had turned towards him with a slack-jawed look and just stared him down, slowly tracking him as he walked around the outside of the clearing toward the camp. He said it wasn't till he was almost halfway to the trailer he had realized that she was getting closer to him. She had started off by the fire, and without him even seeing her move, she had been turning, inching closer. He said he just ran the rest of the way back to the cabin thinking it would open, and when he got to the door it was locked. He turned and it was about half the distance to the door. He looks around the room and then gets super pale. He pulls me to the side and whispers in my ear, "You know there are only 7 of us in here, right?" I get that feeling where your stomach drops. It had been back inside the trailer while we were sorting out who was going where. And then when we all went outside to talk earlier that day, it had just slipped right back in. We looked out the window and there was no one there. So we recount everyone. And then basically I go over and ask everyone how many people were here earlier. Everyone says 8. I say, "Well, how many are here now?" They all count. And then they realize there are only now 7 people in this cabin. So Tan had brought back a couple of boxes of ammo and his rifle. And he had told his dad that there was some kind of animal in the forest because he didn't think his dad would believe him if he said it was a Goatman. He says that his cousin is supposed to be coming down in a few hours, and that in the morning we can all go back to his place and his cousin will drive us home. Now, I'm really tired, but at least I feel better because we can be American and shoot the fuck out of whatever it is if it comes back. But then my cousin gets into this huge argument with one of the girls because she thinks that I'm trying to be funny and prank them. And that she's getting really scared and then it's not funny anymore. He keeps telling her that I'm not that kind of person. And she says, well, how do you know we know the girl wasn't just Tanner in a wig? Or if it's really the Goatman, how do we know that this is the real Tanner and that the Goatman didn't just kill Tanner in the woods and take his gun? So we all get into this huge argument about this, where me and Tan are like, we could seriously be in danger because at the very least someone has to be sneaking themselves into our frickin' trailer without us knowing and mingling with us. And at worst, something bad is in the forest just messing with us. One of the girls is crying and saying that she wants to go right now. And we're telling her we shouldn't because none of us are walking through those woods in the middle of the night. At this point, the sun is starting to go down and it's getting a little cloudy out. We eat something and turn on the radio for a while. We can't really get a station out there with anything decent. So we turn it off at about the time Tan's cousin shows up. He was like 19, I think. At this point, the sun was just barely over the horizon. And he has one of those heavy-duty lantern flashlights and another rifle. He walks up to the trailer and we whisper to Tan, asking if he's sure that's his cousin, and he says yes. The guy looks behind him and then all around the camp and walks in. He kind of glances at all of us and looks a little confused. He says, "Where's your other little buddy at? I figured she would meet up in the cabin. Is she a little slow or something?" He also asked whether we had been cooking blood in the cabin, because it smelled like blood in our hot pans all the way up in the trailer. And we were all like, no. But we asked him what he was talking about with the girl he saw. He had come down the same trail Tan had been using, and he had come up on one of your guys' buddies, standing in the middle of the trail, looking at him slack-jawed. He had asked her a bunch of questions, but all she did was look at him. Then she smiled at him and he just kept walking. She couldn't seem to keep up with him and just kept lagging a little bit behind. He said he asked her if she was hunting or something, and if she needed any help, but she just continued to stare. Eventually, he had been walking and turned around a bend in the trail. And when he turned back around to see if she was okay, the trail was completely empty. He assumed that she had just taken a shortcut through the woods to our trailer. We tell him the whole story of what's been going on. I expect him to say that we're full of crap, but he just listened and sat down on the couches in the living room. Tanner's cousin gets back to the girl. He says that she kept trying to lag behind him. It had kind of weirded him out. So he kept trying to keep her in front of him, but no matter how slow he walked, she was always lagging a little behind. And that he smelled that nasty smell. And it got stronger as he got to the camp. Eventually, it got really strong. She had said something in a really low voice, and he didn't catch it. And when he turned around, she had been right up on him. And he stepped back. It was at this point he asked her if she was okay, and if she wasn't, him to carry her back the rest of the way, and she just kept staring. He said he reached out to her, as in to grab her on the shoulder, but he must have misjudged the distance because she was off to the side of where he had put his hand. Like she moved while he was looking dead at her. So at this point we know that shit's getting real unless Tan's playing a joke, which we can tell he's not because he's almost crapping his pants. So they loaded up their rifles, we eat some more, and we just kind of sit around until 11. To this day, every time I think about this, I really pray to God that it was just some huge prank my cousins played on me. and just never revealed it. At around 11, the stink of copper turns into actual nasty, gross blood-like smell, like cooking blood and singed hair. Tan and his cousin Reese get up and instantly grab their guns. There's like a half knocking, half crawling at the door, and I shit you not, there was a voice. And it sounds like when you see those YouTube cat and dog videos where owners teach them to talk. It says in this halting, weirdly toned voice, "Let me in. Stop fucking playing." It made my balls creep right against my body. One of the girls just started crying and calling for Jesus. It was so obvious not a person was talking. It didn't have the right cadence. And that's some crap I had never realized until that moment. But all people have a certain way that they talk, no matter what language. All people have a certain kind of rhythm to talking. This shit didn't have any kind of rhythm. One of those YouTube cats. That's what it sounded like, just outside of the door. So now I'm in full terror mode. We just keep yelling outside, "Who is it? Stop messing around." And it just keeps saying "in" or "let me in" for almost 15 minutes. So then the smell goes away after a while. And for the next hour or so, you can hear someone basically creeping around the woods. Every couple of minutes, it'll come back to the door and say something. Finally, when the smell fades away at around 2 in the morning, Reese says, "Man, forget this," opens the door and walks outside with his rifle. He fires a shot into the air and says something to the effect of, "In the name of Jesus Christ, go away." He fires 2 more times. And then from the woods, right against the river across the trailer, it sounded like something is slowly gibbering and hooting. Then it starts screaming, and it sounds like a woman and a cat in a bag screaming together, like I seriously had never heard anything like it. And you can hear the brush over that way start to shake. Reese fires over into the tree line and then starts backing into the house. We lock the door, and we can hear this crap kneeing and screaming. Reese says something had to come out of the bushes, super low and to the ground, crawling towards the cabin. He had shot at it. Pretty much that's how the rest of the night went. It was literally screaming constantly for the next 2 hours, and we can hear crap moving in the tree lines. But it never came back out up to the cabin until everyone had finally fallen asleep. Tan had been sitting in the chair watching the door with his rifle. Nobody else heard or saw this, but he told me 2 days later, after the whole thing was over. He said that he had been nodding off after the screaming and noises finally stopped, and he had almost been asleep when he saw someone come out of the bathroom and then just lay down in the middle of the floor and go to sleep. He just assumed it was one of us and nodded off. Then, he said he realized something was wrong. While pretending to sleep, he counted us. There were 9 people in the cabin. He basically didn't want to try to shoot at this fucking thing in the cabin and have killed all of us right then and there. Or have Reese wake up and start shooting, and then we all just kill ourselves. So he just stayed awake all night, pretending to sleep. He said sometimes it would just stand up and kind of do this weird jiggery thing and heave like it was laughing. But then it would just lay back down. The story closes pretty weak. Because from my perspective, nothing happened. We woke up, and I noticed that Tan was a little bit jittery, and that he had been avoiding looking at us all. We had ate some breakfast, packed up, and started walking to his house. He stayed last in the cabin and said he'd lock up and bring me my uncle's keys. And to just start walking, he'd catch up. Which I didn't really want to do. We got a little bit up the path when he came running up. Basically, we just jogged back to his house. His cousin took us home. There was a window in the bathroom. Tan had gone back to lock up and looked in there. We were too stupid to lock a screenless window. The window was freaking up when he got in there. I'm guessing it had been doing that all along, waiting for us to fall asleep or slip up and then getting in among us. It walked with us all the way back to his house. And then he said it lagged to the back of the group and looked him dead in the eyes before walking back into the woods. So, ghouls, as you can tell, I went with the creepypasta stories because a lot of them are super long and I really like, narrating longer stories. But yes, this one was Alabama. Even though it says the kid's from Chicago, apparently, he visits Alabama to visit his cousins and friends and whatnot. And I really, really, really liked this one. It took me forever to narrate. Like, I got it down after editing to 30 minutes. But before that, it was literally almost an hour. So I had to whittle it down with all my pauses and mess ups. But I hope you ghouls enjoyed it. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. What would you do? Honestly, if that happened the first night, I would be out. Actually, I wouldn't even be camping. So I wouldn't be in that situation. But I would be out so fast. But as always, ghouls, the last video will be on the top left. The next video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen, as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.